First down. Jason Garrett clap. Welcome everybody to Buckles Locker with your host, Isaiah, coming to you again. Subscribe to the channel, like the channel, share all the videos. Don't forget to hit the notification bell icon to notify you all new videos that's posted on this channel. Shouts out to all the Pirates and Sea Bandits. You know what it is. Keep supporting the channel. If you want to donate, all donations are welcome, big or small. Support the channel, The draft can't come fast enough. Draft taking too long, man. They need to have like first round like a week before, and then it gets boring in the off season, right? After free agency is the draft. And then once the draft over with, it's like, what do we do next? Right? I might take me a break after the draft. Don't miss that Buckles Locker draft party in the locker room. You don't want to miss that party. We're going to be all the way there from pick number 1 to pick number 32. It's going to be live. Make sure you bring your food and whatever your drink of choice. Mine going to be water. We're going to have a good time during the draft. So I can't wait for that. So what do we got going on here? So this video is about a couple prospects. Doing a kind of a draft breakdown. Specifically talking about the D-line, the trenches. Build the trenches, as you can see the hashtag. Been doing watching a lot of tape, watching a lot of videos, some video breakdowns. Shout out to all the content creators out there with the video breakdowns of these prospects. They put in some work, and it gives you a good idea of what to look at too. And a lot of these prospects do have similarities, but they do have differences too. What up, Sports Talk with Mark? As you join into the chat room, as you come into the locker room, make sure you hit the like button. Now, the draft is around the corner now. We got about 2 weeks. What up, you wish? We got about 2 weeks before the draft hit. And things are very quiet for the most part. Little odds and ends things be happening during free agency now, but as far as the Bucs specifically, they laying low right now. What up, James? Daquan, what up? Well, that's edge rusher. I'm really, that's more of an edge thing, and I'm gonna get to those guys next week. Right now I'm concentrating on the 5 technique, the 0 technique, 3 technique guys, the 1 gap penetrating guys that got some juice in them that can help the Bucs defense clearly that we need help in, and we need some juice on that D line. I don't care what anybody say. There is no excuse this draft not to come away with 2 guys on that D line. It's just, you can get a guy in the 3rd round, even 4th round. I got a couple guys I'll talk about tomorrow before I let everybody in the locker room, that these guys will be available in the 3rd round, late 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round. So I don't want to see the Bucs come out of this draft with just 1 D lineman. I think there's some nice depth there, and the Bucs should take advantage of it because we do need help, and we need some impactful youth on that D line. And there's no offense to JPP and Dominican Sue and William Golson and Nacho, but Shaq Barrett late 20s, Joe Tryon early 20s, Anthony Nelson mid 20s, you can say. But we need help. There is no question about that, and I don't really see too many Bucs fans going against that. There's a couple of Bucs fans talking about cornerback and offensive line, which is cool. What up, Brent? Damien? It's a possibility that can happen, Damien. Mopar Buck, appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you for the $20 super chat. He says, keep grinding, showing love. Strong arm. Appreciate it, man. You know me, man. You've been here for a minute, man. I like when you come into the locker room. Hey, don't miss the locker room party, the draft party either, man. You got to be there. Make sure you are there, okay? I'm gonna try to get maybe 20 folks in that draft party. It's gonna be live too, man. I invite anybody from every team to come in that day, stop through, show some love. When your team picking, come through. I'll let you in the locker room. We gonna all be chopping it up, and we'll rotate through. So looking forward to that. I appreciate the super chat, Mopar Buck. So but I'll get to the edge rushers too, because you never can have too many edge rushers, right? I mean, look, there's a couple edge rushers that'll be there at 27. That'll be there at 54. Even in the third round. And you got the guy from Minnesota. That dude nice. I've been watching tape on him too. So I'll get to the edge rushers, but I just want to focus on the five technique that has scheme versatility, right? 3 technique, 5 technique, odd fronts. No, that's not an upgrade. That's my equal. But Bucks run a 3-4 base kind of like setup, but it's more of a hybrid odd front type thing. So the guys that I've been going over with, these guys, they have versatility. The Bucks can go 4 down linemen at times. They can go 3 down linemen, sometimes 2, depending on how they want to line up with odd fronts. They can go down with 2 down linemen, hands on the ground, with Perrion and Shaq Barrett on the outside. So, but that's a good deal. And the Bucks been needing this for a while. They've been needing to help the D line. They need to help the secondary out. These picks, these guys I'm going over with, this is about the Bucks helping the secondary out. And it's crazy because there's some categories, the Bucks secondary, and I know numbers can be deceiving, but 32nd, I think it's 31st or 32nd in completions. I think 32nd in attempts. Like, a lot of teams throw against the Bucks secondary because teams believe if you can block their front 7, they can be had in the secondary, and the numbers show that. And we know the secondary is not the best, it's not the worst, middle of the pack. Because when you look at when people talk about our secondary, they talk about the top corners and top safeties. Just in general talk, you never see the Bucks cornerbacks or safeties mentioned. I've watched a lot of these top 5, top 10 cornerbacks, and I never see Carlton Davis' name pop up. Never see Jamel Dean name pop up. Never see Murphy Bunting name even. I've never seen none of those guys mentioned in the top 10 amongst other fan bases when they talk about cornerbacks, or if their team have a top cornerback and they mention the cornerback and they mention these other names, but Carlton Davis' name never comes up. Now I know the numbers say, well, Carlton Davis is this and that, but when you watch the tape, it's hard to bring him up compared to the other guys because he's like a couple steps below those guys. You're not going to mention Carlton Davis or Xavier Howard or J.C. Jackson, you know what I'm saying, or Jalen Ramsey. We're not going to mention Carlton Davis with those guys or Jamel Dean. That's no offense, but they're just not even there. They're not even in the ballpark. You know what I'm saying? Mopar Buck with another $20 super chat. Indeed, work be having me miss, but I'll be there. Appreciate it too. Defense should be this draft with a guard, potentially run it back, but I'll shut up now. No, we talking about draft, man. You ain't got you got a lot to say, so it's all good, man. Talk your sugar honey iced tea, man. You ain't got to be quiet, man. It's all love, man. We all on the same page. We know defense is the priority, but it's just the defense can be better, specifically in the secondary. Now, if the defense in the front gets better rushing the quarterback and sacking the quarterback without the blitz, I think the secondary will get better. It's a hand in hand. It's a give and take, right? Now we already know you're not going to stop everybody, right? And for the last several years, the Bucs secondary, the numbers show this, and it's sad to say this because even with Todd Bowles' improvements, when you go back and look at the secondary in totality, not good enough. We can go all the way back to 2012. All the way back to 2012. Go look at the numbers. Just in the bottom five in major categories: first downs on third down, red zone percentage, like these things that the secondary has been giving up year in and year out, and a lot of people overlook that part. Like, remember, it's easy to look at things surface level when you look at the defense, right? It's easy when you get numbers flashed at you all the time, the main numbers, right? But how the world has transpired with advanced technology, which allowed us to go to the big data. I'm talking some IT stuff, but big data, advanced analytics, you start to see, wow, like, okay, we look good on surface, okay, we got a lot of sacks, top 5 in sacks, but then you split it up and you're like, okay, what about just rushing 4? How many sacks do we have? Or what about the secondary on Pacific downs and distance? Third down percentage. How many, or what's the average yards completion percentage? Remember, secondary and defense work hand in hand. If the secondary covers better, the defense get to sack the quarterback more often, right? If the defense gets to the quarterback faster, the front 7, or the front 4, or you can say front 5, 3 down linemen, 2 outside pass rushers. So the front 5, if they get to the quarterback more quicker, put more pressure, things can happen. So it's a hand in hand, situation. It's like mashed potatoes and gravy, macaroni and cheese, hamburger, cheese, cheeseburger. It's more. It got to go together. It's got to go together. Hot dog with ketchup or mustard, right? I'm hungry, right? I'm hungry. So a biscuit with honey goes together perfectly, right? So these two guys I'm about to talk about, as you can see in the title, Perrion Winfrey and Logan Hall, two guys that I think will be pretty good fits with what the Bucs trying to do. And once again, generating pass rush without blitzing is very important for the Bucs this year, because if you look at the offenses that the Bucs are going to play this year, there's going to be about 10 to 12 games of explosive offenses. And if we don't get that pass rush, and if we got to blitz those offenses, we're going to get shredded. I'm just going to be real with you. We can't do this baby stuff and this baby talk. Oh, well, the secondary's so young. It's time. This year, it's time to put up or shut up. We've been given some leeway. We've been a little soft on the secondary. Granted, the front 5 or the front 7 hasn't been getting to the quarterback without blitzing, but accountability too. The secondary gotta have some accountability, because there's been a lot of times that when the secondary, when the front 5 or front 7 don't get pressure, you cross your fingers that we don't get shredded. But Sue did a good job. JPP was hurt, but it was clear to Steve McClendon, Nacho, Anthony Nelson. Joe Tryon was still young and fresh. He was just hyper. He was out there and got 4 sacks too. I think if he'd have played a full season, he would have had about 8 or 9 of them things. But Shaq Barrett, he had his 10+ sacks, but it didn't come into it didn't happen during the games where we wanted to see it, right? Once again, against top lines or mid-level lines, that 1 to 15 range, the Bucs defensive line tend to just don't really show up. So with Perrion Winfrey and Logan Hall, 2 young defensive line, and different types. I will say this because Perrion Winfrey is 6'3", 310 pounds. So if you look at Devontae Wyatt, 6'3", 315. So similar guy. Now Devontae Wyatt is a little bit more. He's at the next level, But Perrion Winfrey is not far off. So it wouldn't hurt at pick 27, Perrion Winfrey, who had a great Senior Bowl, and I'll break it down in a second. But also Logan Hall had a pretty good Senior Bowl too. So long guy, 6'6", and some change, strong. I'll break down in a second, but these guys can be beneficial to the Bucks. And there's a couple other guys that the Bucks can grab in the third round, maybe second, third round, possibly the fourth round. It's kind of hard, maybe, but the first 3 rounds, there's a couple guys, if they're available, these first 3 rounds, the Bucks can come away with two D linemen in the first 3 rounds, depending on if they want to make these moves. But let's talk about Perrion Winfrey, Oklahoma standout. When I look at Perrion Winfrey, when I watch the tape on this guy, what in the world? I'm sorry. Some guys in college play out of position. Perrion Winfrey is one of them. Oklahoma didn't know what they were doing with him. They was running this exotic defense, and Perrion Winfrey was out of position a lot. Instead of having him rush the passer, they had him just kind of like looping around, and instead of having him getting up the field, and I don't know what they were doing. When you go watch the tape of Oklahoma and look at their DC and the defensive scheme they were doing, Perrion Winfrey was so underutilized. And a lot of players end up like that. And then when they get to the NFL, they get coached up, because when you're out of position, you create bad habits. And that's what happened with Perrion Winfrey and a lot of the draft prospects. Nobody's perfect. All these guys got, habits that they can get coached out of them, and specifically Perrion Winfrey, he had some things that you don't like to see on film, but that's just him being in a scheme that made no sense. Lincoln Riley, the head coach of USC now, was the head coach at University of Oklahoma, and I forgot who the DC was, but I was looking at the tape. Like I said, shout out to all the content creators. The dude was too good to be doing what he was doing. He some places he got washed out, and let's get down to the breakdown. So here's what I came out. Here's what I came with after watching the tape on Perrion Winfrey. Length. Great length. If you look at his body shape, right? He's 6'3", but he got long legs. He got long arms. Short torso, but he's long everywhere else, right? Hand size, 10 and 2/8. Arms, 35 inches, 35 and 4/8. That's how long his arms is. So that means his wingspan is ridiculous. 80 plus, right? Compared to Devontae Wyatt, who's shorter as far as his wingspan, his arm length, right? And it's interesting how these body types are, it's just amazing. Like, they could be the same height, but have different wingspans and arm length. And Perrion Winfrey has the arm length better than Devontae Wyatt, right? And I got all the cards here, Devontae Wyatt is decent. I mean, as far as his length, but he's 32 inches, 32 and 5/8. Perrion Winfrey's 35 and 4/8. That's a 3-inch difference. So that means he can keep guards and tackles off of him, because you can line him up, up and down the line. Now, Devontae Wyatt is a little more explosive. He's obviously faster, which is clear to see on tape. 10-yard split and 40-yard dash, but they're very similar body type wise as far as just height and weight. It's just Winfrey's just longer. And when you're running a 3-4 odd front, now I will say this: Perrion Winfrey, he will be very, very good at a 4-3, but I think he'll be pretty solid in a 3-4 as well at the 5 technique, because you want your guy tall at the 5 technique, but he makes up for that with his length. So even him being 6'3", being that he's long and got big hands, he can make up for the lack of height in a 5 technique in a 3-4. He's great at one gap penetration. And a lot of these guys have a lot of things in common. So, but there's some pros and cons to having a body type like that, because he's very lean. He has a small lower half. but that's just him. He don't look like he's 300 pounds. He's one of those guys you'd be like, he 300 pounds? You know what I'm saying? Because guess what? He weighs more than Logan Hall and shorter and just as long. Think about that for a second. Perrion Winfrey is 3 inches shorter, three inches and some change shorter than Logan Hall, but just as long. Damn near just as long and 3 inches shorter. That's why I say he can play in the 3-4. And if you look at the Bucks front, sometimes the Bucks will have a William Golson and a Vita and Shaq Barrett and Joe Tryon or JPP at the time. That's your front four. But then when they go true 3-4, you've seen it. You've seen the William Golson, you've seen the Dominican Sue, and you've seen Vita Vea, and you've seen Dominican Sue. And then you had Shaq Barrett and Joe Tryon, Anthony Nelson on the outside. But I just find it interesting that Perrion Winfrey is long. That's the one thing that his biggest pro is his length, but he's very lean. He's a 3 technique penetrator in a 4-3, but in today's NFL, scheme versatility, is a big deal. Now, some guys are a tweener, and there's another guy I'll talk about tomorrow. He's a bit of a tweener, but I think you can move Perrion Winfrey up and down the Bucks D line. Now, can you put him at the 0 technique or the 1 and have him rush like over the center? If the center's small, now every center in the NFL is not big, right? There's some small centers. So if the Bucks play teams with small centers or even small guards, you can line them up over the center or the guard, depending on what type of front you want to, you want to do a 3-4 over, 3-4, odd. It just depends on how you want to do it. Or if the Bucks want to run a 4-3 under, I'm not going to get into details at all the specifics of the front. I'm just giving y'all an overview of if you understand 4-3 and a 3-4, and the Bucks do tend to run this hybrid weird scheme. It's very hard to grasp and for quarterbacks to understand. If you don't, young quarterbacks don't understand Todd Bowles' defense, but veteran quarterbacks do. Look at Matthew Stafford. All right, shredded the Bucks. So, but he can play 5 technique because of his length. Explosive, short area, burst. Got some juice. His 10-yard split was 1.68. Devontae Wyatt's was 1.66. You see the similarities, about the same height, just Perrion Winfrey's longer. Now, I would not be surprised. I wouldn't even be shocked that if Perrion Winfrey have a bigger impact than Devontae Wyatt down the road, right? Because if you want somebody like right now, of course, Devontae Wyatt will be the guy you would pick before Perrion Winfrey. But I would not be surprised if Perrion Winfrey turned out to be the better player. I'm not saying it can happen. I'm just saying just based on their measurements. Perrion Winfrey, he's longer. And the thing about NFL, it's not just about speed, it's about length now, especially on the D line. Can you keep the guys off you? Can you keep guards and tackles off you? See, Perrion Winfrey, if he was 280, 270, 260, no break, top 15 pick. With his hand size and his wingspan, his arm length, if he was 40 pounds lighter, 260, 270, 30, 40 pounds lighter, he top 10 pick, top 15. So he has the length of a defensive end in a 5 technique, in a 3-4. But he can play odd fronts. It's okay. Yeah, Gregory Rousseau, 6'7". Perrion Winfrey pretty much got almost the same arm length and wingspan, and 4 inches shorter. Think about that. Look at the Bucks defense. Perrion Winfrey is disruptive. He's disruptive. But he can be a little tight in the hips, just based on what I've seen. Little tight, little stiffness in the hips. But that can be coached out of him. His fluidity can be a little bit better. I was watching him do the 360 around the ring, doing his figure eights. He was a little tight. Maybe he was he was wound up, but a lot of this stuff can be coached out of him too. The Senior Bowl is where he made his money. He was a one-man show. Go watch the offensive lineman and versus defensive lineman day 1, 2, and 3. And go type in Perrion Winfrey. And specifically, go look up Perrion Winfrey versus Zion Johnson. Remember, this is a guy that some of the Bucs fans want them to draft. Zion Johnson, the Boston College guard, at 27 to put him in left guard. Now, that can happen. Zion Johnson can be a day 1 starter. Look, no offense to Aaron Stinnie, but he was undrafted for a reason. And those guys have to be developed, but their ceilings are low. How many undrafted free agents become elite players or above average players? So Aaron Stinnie has a low ceiling and a low floor. You know, it's what you see is what you get with Aaron Stinnie. He's not going to become this Ali Marpet, Zach Martin, or he's not even going to get close to that. A Joe Bonito, it's not happening. You know, it's just Brandon Shreve. He's not even getting to that. Not even close. I don't even think he's going to reach Andrews Pete level. He could be a serviceable starter, but he's going to always be a weak spot based on his pedigree. He's a steady guy, and when you are at the left guard, the blind side of a quarterback, you need to be sturdy. You need to be a top 15 guard, and Aaron Stinnie is nowhere near a top 15 guard. So if you go look at the Perrion Winfrey, Zion Johnson tape, exactly, it's an anomaly. So I know people like to try to, convince themselves and hype themselves up for Aaron Stinnie. Like, oh, Aaron Stinnie played pretty well. The reality is, undrafted player at any position rarely becomes elite. Rarely, So the way the line is currently constructed, the weak part of the Bucs O-line is left guard, hands down. There is no justifying. Oh, was I? Aaron Stinnie is good. No. Or are you basing that on just a little bit of little bit of tape? Because if he was good, he would have never went undrafted. And when you go undrafted and you got to climb your way up, that means your ceiling is low and your floor is very low. So that's why I can understand why the Bucs fans, some of them say draft Zion Johnson, because Zion Johnson has a high ceiling, right? He can become a day 1 starter and an instant impact. And if the Bucs were to do that, I wouldn't be mad at it, but I'll be like disappointed. I'll be like, dang, we need D linemen. But let's get back to the D line, right? But go watch the tape of Perrion Winfrey and Zion Johnson. That was a good battle, and I'm gonna give that to Perrion Winfrey. He got the best of Zion Johnson a few times. So Zion Johnson is decent, but Perrion Winfrey was not playing. He was there to make money, and I believe if things go well, if the draft go where it's supposed to go, he'll be there for the Bucs at 27. Yeah, Nick Leverett too. Those guys are not good. I don't want the Bucs fans to convince themselves of Aaron Stinnie and Nick Leverett and like maybe Robert Haynes. I don't know, but don't convince yourself that he's gonna be like, oh yeah, he's just this crazy guard at left guard. Robert Hainsley, 3rd round pick. He can play guard. He was a 3rd round pick, so his ceiling is higher than Aaron Stinnie's and Nick Leverett. And I forgot who the other guy is, but let's not kid ourselves. The Bucs drafting Zion Johnson or any guard in the first 3 rounds is an instant upgrade over Aaron Stinnie based on talent. Because they already there. Like Zion Johnson is already better than Aaron Stinnie, just based on tape. But yeah. Perrion Winfrey had a great Senior Bowl. He's physical, violent hands, got a nasty attitude. Got a nasty little attitude with him. You know what I'm saying? Like he always fighting. Like not saying that he's scrapping with linemen, but he's out like when he's engaged. It's like it just seems like he just boxing. Like he just you in a dog fight. He's like Rick Steiner and the Steiner brothers. He's like Rick Steiner. He's that dog. You need that dog on that D line, right? Got a, like I said, he's not a great in the hips. He got a nice little bend, but not that can get better with flexibility workouts, movements and stuff like that, stretching and stuff. But I got him going late first round, early second round, which is right where the Bucks can get him. I think the Bucks, if they want to play this game right, at 27, if they're sitting there at 27, they don't have to pick him right there. If a team want to get back into the first round and draft a quarterback like a Matt Corral or Desmond Ridder, the Bucks can trade out of that spot, pick up additional picks, and still get Perrion Winfrey in the second round. I wouldn't be against that. I would not be against that. The Bucks pick at 27. Trade back. Now, mind you, trade back to the early second round, like, the first 5 or 6 picks. Trade with one of those teams. Go back a couple picks, pick up an extra second or third. So now you got 2 seconds. You got a second in the you got a pick in the early second round, and then you got a pick in the late second round, and you can get a possible extra fourth or third for a team that want to trade up. Because remember that the Bucks in a position where that late first round teams get antsy, like especially if only 2 quarterbacks, let's just say Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett get drafted, in the first round, and we get to pick 27, and those are the only 2 quarterbacks that came off the board. You don't think, because if Detroit, Atlanta, who else? The Seahawks, these teams that if they don't pick these quarterbacks early, you best believe a late first round, if they got multiple second round picks, they'll come out, they'll give up one of them second round picks to come back into the first. You see how that works? And then you also got teams that's looking at receivers too. They want to jump ahead and grab Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker. So the Bucks are not in a bad position at 27. They can make this work. So if he's there at 27 and they believe he can be there early second round, grab a couple extra picks. Panthers too. Grab a couple extra picks. Now you got 2 seconds, 2/3, or 2 seconds and 2/4. Preferably, I want the Bucks to get another second, and if that was to happen, like that scenario, another second and another third. So they have 2 seconds and 2/3. That would be perfect. Because this draft is very deep in a lot of positions. There's a lot of depth. It's not top heavy, but it's a lot of depth, and I think it's going to be a lot of good players. Receivers, O linemen and D linemen, and underrated position too, tight end. Now, I know the Bucks at tight end, they old, great. Rob Gronkowski, we don't know what's going on with him. Tanner Hudson, but there's some good tight ends there too. So, but that's a whole nother conversation. But back to Perrion Winfrey, he will be there at 27. And if the Bucks pick him at 27, it's not an overdraft based on what I've seen in the breakdown. Now, mind you, look how much I talked about Perrion Winfrey. Now, this next guy I'm going to talk about, University of Houston, AACC, Logan Hall. Now, look at this guy. 6'6", 280 pounds. Perfect 5 technique. Remember, William Gosselin was drafted in the 4th round. Not the same exact body type, because Logan Hall is better on tape. Logan Hall can be what we wanted William Gosselin to be, but William Gosselin was a 4th round talent, late round talent, day 3 talent. Logan Hall is a day 1, possibly day 2 talent. So talent level is different. 6'6", 278 pounds, has the frame to put on another 15 pounds. Look at this. He's very lean. He's tall. Now, Logan Hall, out of all the prospects that I'm talking about so far, he is probably the best fit for the Bucks and what they need as far as 3, 4, 5 technique that can rush in the middle. You can put him next to Joe Tryon in certain fronts, rushing the quarterback on third down. Terror. Tryon, Logan Hall in the middle over the guard or center. Now, let me give you the 40-yard dash and 10-yard split. 6'6", 278. He ran a 4.48. Devontae Wyatt at 6'3", 315 ran a 4.77. Here's the 10-yard split. Long guy. 1.68. Devontae Wyatt, 1.66. Perrion Winfrey, 1.68. He ran the same. He got the same 10-yard split as Perrion Winfrey, and 0.2 slower than Devontae Wyatt. Not that big of a difference. Same 10-yard split as Jordan Davis. Now, Jordan Davis is faster, but you get what I'm saying? 3-4. Logan Hall. Very powerful. He's long. Great fit at the 5 technique, and you can rush him in the inside. You can play around with that. You can take Vita and put him at the 5 technique and put Logan Hall right at the 1 at the 0 tech. Because they've had Vita lined up on the outside of the guard. Outside the guard shoulder. They have Vita lined up out there. And what's so interesting is Logan Hall, to me, watching the tape, I believe Logan Hall would be a better pass rusher in the NFL. Because you can him lining up over the center, it's going to be a problem. Clear problem. He has a high motor, great effort, very lean, can add more weight, he had a very good Senior Bowl, and he got scheme versatility. But he struggles against double teams, which means I think if he adds more weight, he can take on those double teams better. Now, that can be coached out of him and get better at double teams. What up, Ray P? Fabo, what is up? George, what up? But that can be coached out of him. You know, he can get coached up to take on double teams better. He's long. You would like for him to use his length a little bit more. He tends to just overpower guys. He's a natural strong dude, like a Travis Jones, right? And I'm not saying weight. I'm just talking about his brute strength. He's a brute strength 5 technique. Richard Seymour. I like the reference Richard Seymour. Calais Campbell. Just big. 6'6", 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" guys. Like a Marcus Davenport. Just big and just rugged. You see what I'm saying? You need guys like that. Like Gregory Rousseau. Carlos Basham. The Buffalo Bills draft picks from last year. Put Logan Hall next to those guys. Same. Like Gregory Rousseau. You see the ceiling for Gregory Rousseau, right? Well, Logan Hall got the same ceiling for me. Logan Hall's ceiling is high if he's coached up right. That is the key. He gets around good coaching. Logan Hall has potential to be a 10 to 12 sack guy. In a 3-4. Minimum 8. Then when I watch the tape of Logan Hall, remember, all these guys are good fits. But you got your good fits and you got your really, really, really good fits. And you got your best fits. Now, remember when I talked about Devontae Wyatt, he's a pure 4-3 guy. But you can put him in 3-4. Because he's explosive. You know, Aaron Donald has played in a 4-3. Aaron Donald does 3-4 stuff. Put him in there. Travis Jones, he can play in multiple fronts. His comp is Chris Jones. Devontae Wyatt comp is Geno Atkins. Jordan Davis, he's a pure nose tackle, not the best fit for the Bucs. And no knock on Jordan Davis, but I'll take Logan Hall as far as fit wise over Jordan Davis. Understand where I'm coming from with that. And that's not, like I said, if Jordan Davis is on the clock and he's there to be picked, what's up, Haitian boy? 407. Of course, the Bucs going to take Jordan Davis, but he's not going to fall to 27, right? Now, it's a scenario that can happen, but just based on what the Bucs need, they don't need another nose tackle. They need a 5 technique guy that can get after the quarterback. That's why I say Travis Jones, Logan Hall, even Perrion Winfrey. Those are better fits than Jordan Davis. We need some guys that can get to the quarterback, not a guy that's going to be sometime in a great talent. And I would hate to see this with Jordan Davis, that he, one of those combine guys, he has a really great combine, but gets to the NFL and you'd be like, he did all that to get paid. And that's why you got to be careful with these combines, these guys that test very well, and then you put on the tape. And Jordan Davis is a perfect example of that. When I look at Logan Hall and I put on Logan Hall tape, Logan Hall get out the quarterback. Peyton Turner, who the Saints drafted last year, was on the same D-line as Logan Hall. Houston D-line was pretty good. But I gave out a red flag with Jordan Davis. Exactly. 7 sacks in 4 years. The Bucs don't need another run stuffer. They need guys like Logan Hall, Perrion Winfrey, or the guys with great potential that can get a lot of sacks that didn't have a lot of sacks in college, like Devontae Wyatt. But we can see that he can get a lot of sacks in the pros because of he'll be more coached better. No offense to Kirby Smart, but he'll be coached a little bit better in the NFL. Travis Jones, he has a higher ceiling as far as pass rusher wise. Jordan Davis has a high run stuffing ceiling. Run stop. Occasional pass rush. But we don't need that. Remember, it's about fit. It's not about the name. Don't worry about him being light. That dude has the frame to add weight. See, let's not get this confused. We seen Joe Tryon. He's light. But we see the potential there. He had 4 sacks playing part-time. All he got to do is add about 15 pounds, maybe 20. He's going to be a beast. He's going to keep the same athleticism. He just got to get stronger. That's it. 15 pounds of muscle. Same with Logan Hall. He's 278, 6'6". Remember Kevin Williams from Minnesota? Calais Campbell. These guys 6'6", 6'7". Add about 15 pounds to that frame. Get them out to about 280, 290. I mean, not 280, but about 290. Remember now, 5 technique. Because if you're looking at the guys I'm looking at right now, like I said, no offense to Jordan Davis, but the better fits are the guys that I just named. Devontae Wyatt, not a pure 3-4 guy, but better fit. Travis Jones, good fit in 3-4, right? Logan Hall and Perrion Winfrey, really good fits in the 3-4. Remember, we need somebody next to Vita Vea. We need somebody next to Vita that can get to the quarterback. So when Vita go off the field, like Logan Hall is a 3-down guy. 3. 1, 2, 3. Vita is not a full-time 3-down guy. That's why I don't want Jordan Davis. I'm off that bandwagon for the Bucs. The Bucs should not draft Jordan Davis. Should not do it. There are 4 prospects that are much better fit, that will produce more. I think all 4 of these guys are going to produce way more than Jordan Davis when it comes to pass rush. Now, I might be wrong. But I got a late first, early second round grade for Logan Hall too. Mid to second, late first to mid second round grade. But at 27, he's going to be there. Perrion, Winfrey, and Logan Hall going to be there. Then it's going to come down to Travis Jones will be there. Now Wyatt and Davis, they won't be there at 27. Right? I think to get Devontae Wyatt, I'm gonna say this: you probably gonna have to get in front of the Eagles. Probably. Let me see. Yeah, the Eagles maybe, or the Chargers. And they right in that middle of the first round. The Bucs are just too far away to grab Devontae Wyatt. But it's wishful thinking, right? He's not gonna get down to 27, but wishful thinking. That's why I talked about him. But he's not gonna get to 27. The Bucs gonna have to trade up to get Devontae Wyatt. Or I'm gonna talk about him tomorrow. DeVarman Leal. I'll talk about him tomorrow. So I'm glad you brought him up. I'm going to talk. I'll watch tape on him today too, as well, and a couple other guys. I'm going to talk about them as well, and I'm going to talk about the edge rusher as well. So the Bucs can use an edge rusher too. But yeah, Logan Hall. I like Logan Hall. I like Logan Hall in Todd Bowles' defense. Stop me if I'm lying. If you don't agree, that's cool. But I just think he's a better fit. I think he's probably the best fit, just based on what I watched on tape. I think he's the best fit as far as what the Bucs. I'm gonna reiterate this: 3, 4, 5 techniques are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". They're long compared to the other prospects. If you had to rank them as far as what do a 3-4 need, Logan Hall is the number one guy. Just based on how 3-4s are structured. Don't get mad at me. Just look at the tape. Just look at most 3-4 teams. They got long guys, especially the 5 technique. The Patriots did it for a long time. They had a big, short nose tackle, and they had long, deep Mike Vrabel, Richard Seymour. They had long guys. That's what makes a 3-4 excel. And Logan Hall is the best fit. Yeah, I know some of you might not agree with me. Oh, no, it's Devontae Wyatt or Travis Jones or Perrion Winfrey. All good fits. But if I had to categorize how they look in the Bucs defense, remember now, any one of these guys will be draftable at 27. I'm just saying if I had to rank as far as fit wise. What up, King Cook? April. What do I think about Keanu Neal? He can hit, but we had that with Jordan Whitehead. So it just comes down to coverage. Keanu Neal, I guess you could say he's slightly better covered than Jordan Whitehead, but I mean, we saw him in Atlanta. Atlanta let him go. So that's my take on Keanu Neal. You know, former Florida Gator safety. He's playing. He's going to play. He'll play in those nickel downs. You know, he'll play there. He's bigger than Jordan Whitehead. I'll tell you that much. Obviously, right? I would say he does hit harder in a way, right? Keanu's like 6'1", I believe, about 220 almost. So he played linebacker too. So, but he will be a good addition to the Bucs secondary, in dime and nickel situations. So, but yeah, very good Senior Bowl by Logan Hall. So for those of you that haven't got a chance to check out Logan Hall, just go watch film. If you don't believe what I'm saying, go watch the film yourself and then go back and listen to what I just said about Logan Hall and Perrion Winfrey, and you tell me what you think in the comment section. But I like both of these guys. Perrion Winfrey, I think he's very underrated. I think he's gonna have just, it's always that guy. You know, Perrion Winfrey is that guy. You be like, if he get with the right D line coach, he He just got that build, like 6'3", really long, 310 pounds, nasty attitude. Like you, when the last time we had that? And I remember somebody bringing it up early in the chat room. Gerald McCoy, Perrion Winfrey, Oklahoma. Gerald McCoy, Oklahoma. Now Gerald McCoy, I think he graded out, of course, upper first round. I think Gerald McCoy was 6'3" and 7/8, or 6'4", about 320, 330. But when I look at Perrion Winfrey coming out of college, and I looked at Gerald McCoy coming out of college, Perrion Winfrey just nastier. He got a mean streak. Gerald McCoy was just too nice. I think that was his biggest downfall. It's too nice. Quarterbacks up. Y'all remember that. Helping quarterbacks up. You don't see Perrion Winfrey doing that. Perrion Winfrey, he's out there to hurt somebody. And Gerald McCoy just played too soft. Y'all remember the Bucs D-line? Who was the nastiest D-lineman the Bucs had prior to Vita Vea getting there? You have to go all the way back to Warren Sapp. Remember Chini Yohanatu? You had to go all the way back. But with Vita and one of these guys, you get Travis Jones. Holy crap. You're talking about a guy with a high ceiling. You get Perrion Winfrey, Logan Hall, Devontae Wyatt. These guys are nasty. Henry Milton is pretty good. But we need a guy that can play like a Cam Hayward or Stephon Tuitt or DeForest Buckner. See, if you look at Logan Hall, look at DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, comp-wise. Just look at the comp. DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, Logan Hall. 6'6", 6'7". The Bucs can't mess this up. Let's just keep it 100. At pick 27, the Bucs can't. Like, there's options there. And I need, matter of fact, let's go ahead and talk about it. DeMarvin Leal and Zachary Carter. We're going to add 2 more guys to this video. If you're joining in late, make sure you like the live stream. Make sure you share the video. Chris Hovan, yikes. So DeMarvin Leal out of Texas A&M. 6'4", 290. Played in the SEC, so I saw a lot of him. And I got a chance to really watch some of his tape today, too. Some breakdown tape. He had 8 sacks. Yeah, Jeffrey. Yeah, exactly. No, Daquan Bowers. Oh, my gosh. Eesh. Exactly. Winfrey is, I'm telling you, that dude I want y'all to circle that guy. I'm just throwing it out there. If he's there and the Bucs pick him, instant starter. Immediate impact. Perrion Winfrey. Like right now. Now, Logan Hall might take a little second, but Perrion Winfrey, instant impact. Travis Jones, instant impact. Now, Logan Hall probably will have a higher ceiling because, he got to fill out a little bit. But I'm just saying, Perrion Winfrey, dog, watch the tape on that dude, man. That dude is no joke. But DeMarvin Leal, he was highly recruited out of high school in Texas. He had 8 sacks his final year. Scheme versatility. I think he's more of a 4-3 defensive end. You can slim him down, but he can play 3. He can play the 5 technique as well. He's another guy like Perrion Winfrey. Texas A&M didn't have him playing like he's supposed to, getting ate up by double teams, and that was bad. He got bad habits at Texas A&M. He don't anchor down because they had him moving around so much instead of penetrating. 1 gap, go. He can be a 2-gap guy, but you got to get him up the field. Along with even Perrion Winfrey. DeMarvin Leal had an average combine. He didn't test well. If you look at his test results at the combine and look at his tape, it's like It ain't adding up. He has a high ceiling, high floor because of his pedigree. He has a nice build, 6'4", 290. Tweener. Like, you don't know exactly what to do with DeMarvin Leal. Like, is he a 3-4 guy or is he a 4-3 guy? Is he really scheme versatility? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's some question marks there with him. Is he really can he really live up to his pedigree? Because at the high school All-American game, he was a problem. And got to Texas A&M, he had some injuries, and he had the marijuana situation. You know, just in his final season, you saw 8 sacks. So it's like, but then I watched the Arkansas tape. He didn't do anything. Like, literally, they didn't even call his name. Shout out to Sam Pittman, too, Arkansas. And KJ Jefferson, probably a first-round pick next year at quarterback, second-round pick. But DeMarvin Leal didn't do anything in the Arkansas tape. Didn't do anything. But he has a high motor. He did, like I said, he didn't test well at the combine. So I got him between a second-round pick and a fourth-round pick, but he might end up in the third round. And I didn't have a lot to say about this guy because I was just disappointed in a way. I think he got a high ceiling, high floor, but it might take him a year or two to kind of reach that because I just think he developed some bad traits in Texas A&M, and it's not his fault. I think it was just coaching, you know. And the one thing about the NFL, when you got guys like DeMarvin Leal, people are going to draft him based on his pedigree and his ceiling, right? Right? You know, his potential. He has high upside. And that's what I see with DeMarvin Leal. But at 6'4", 290, he ran a 5 flat on the 40. Five flat. DeMarvin Leal ran a 5 flat in the 40. So his numbers, his combine numbers, not it. That's not it. He graded out average. Because if you put the numbers with the defensive ends, he didn't grade well. And if you put the numbers with the defensive tackles, it's like he's like. Then you look at the tape, you be like, "Well, I see the flashes there. He got some spin moves, he got some hands, he got some disruptive, traits in him." But why was it? Is it the work ethic? Some like guys like him have been coddled since high school, since middle school. He's always been the guy. And this is why those guys, for me, this is why I like guys that grind themselves up, right? They grind their way up to being really good. But see, guys like DeMarvin Leal, 5-star guys, they get coddled since middle school and high school, and they get to college, 5-star recruit. They didn't do any homework. They got all the girls. They got the gifts from the alumni and and the donors and stuff like that. I think that's DeMarvin Leal. Like, he just been coddled, and he got to Texas A&M. He didn't really. He just didn't really live up to his potential. He should have been like super dominant. And this is why he's not talked about being a first-round pick. Not even a second-round pick, to be honest with you. Now, he can go second round, which he has, a second round. I don't think his grade is second round. And the reason why is exactly the word potential with his pedigree. He needed to be already there. Like, if you look at the other guys like Perrion, Winfrey, they wasn't highly recruited like DeMarvin Leal or Logan Hall, Jordan Davis. Devontae Wyatt wasn't heavily recruited. He went JUCO route, by the way. Devontae Wyatt went JUCO route. Travis Jones. DeMarvin Leal, he was highly recruited. If the Bucs was to draft DeMarvin Leal in this year's draft, it'll be a later pick. 3rd round, 4th round pick. You can take a chance on a guy like that. Now, this pick, what I'm talking about right here, DeMarvin Leal, this is a later round pick. This is not a 1st or 2nd round pick I'm talking about. This is just, remember, the Bucs need help on the D line. They need juice, and Leo offers that, just not a first round, second round type juice. And I see some of y'all saying already, we need instant impact guys, right? We need instant impact. I get it. I'm just throwing it out there as later rounds, third, fourth round. Because he's not a first round pick. And I don't even think he's a second round pick, just based on what I seen on tape. But he has some good traits. He has some good things going for himself. But I just didn't see, when I look at the other guys that I named, they just had a lot more in them to offer. Like, they can come here right away and be impactful. DeMarvin Leal is just, and he kind of averaged out to a third round pick for me, most likely. So we don't need any more potential high ceiling players. I get it. And one last player I want to talk about. Remember, these guys I'm about to talk about now, these are like later picks. They're not first and second round picks. Zachary Carter out of Florida. 6'4", 282, 40-yard dash, 4.99, 10-yard split, 1.73. 6'4", 280, basically, right? I got a third, fourth round grade on him. Just like DeMarvin Leal. DeMarvin Leal, just same thing as Leal. Got potential, but didn't see enough. Can be a good addition in the third or fourth round for the Bucs if they get a D tackle, D line, or D lineman in the first round, and then come back in the third or fourth round and grab one. These two guys, DeMarvin and Zachary Carter, will not be a bad picks in those rounds. Remember, this is all about the trenches. Strong at the point of attack. University of Florida, by the way. Aggressive. Hips a little stiff. His fluidity, but that can be coached up. Short area, got a burst. Should have been more productive at Florida, but he wasn't. I think he'll be a better player in the NFL. Tweener, just like DeMarvin, based on his numbers. He didn't test well. He has a good anchor. He has a good bottom. He has a good anchor. Right? Hips and his legs. He's thick lower half. Good anchor. It's a good motor. That screams third or fourth round. The Bucs can grab one of these guys later in the draft because of they have the potential. If they're rotational guys. Let's just keep it real. Zach Carter and DeMarvin Leal are rotational guys right now. Now, can they turn into something? Sure. We've seen it happen before. You just seen Perrion Winfrey, huh? Exactly, man. Logan Hall to Perrion Winfrey, man. I'm just saying. I like Travis Jones too. And of course, I love the Devontae Wyatt, but I know he's not going to be available at 27. And Jordan Davis, no, we're not going to get those guys. But Logan Hall, Perrion Winfrey, Travis Jones. I'm just saying, dog. Like, the Bucs gonna have some good options at 27. They just are. I hope they don't mess it up. In my personal opinion, I hope they don't mess this up, because I literally ran through some good prospects in the early round, first round prospects. The guys I named outside of Carter and Leal, those guys won't be available late second round. Hall won't be available late second round. Perrion Winfrey won't be available late second round. Travis Jones won't be available late second round. Of course, Wyatt and Davis won't be available late second round. You have to get those guys in the first round or early second. Davis and Wyatt, you got to get in the top 17, top 20. Winfrey, Jones, and Hall, you can get at 27. But you're not going to get them late second round. You can get them late first round, early second round. So there you have it, folks. I've given you. There's another guy. I didn't do a lot of research on this guy. Mathis from Alabama. Phadrian Mathis. number 48 from Alabama, 6'4", 312 pounds. I didn't get a chance to really like do a breakdown on him, but kind of a late round guy too, third, fourth round. Not much on him to really talk about. I don't like the Alabama players, but Phadrian Mathis, what y'all think about him? Alabama number 48. Big guy. He's a 3-4 guy. He could turn to be pretty decent. But I don't see anything about him on tape that screams first or second round. Probably not even third round. But you know, because I don't trust Alabama players, especially early. You don't want to touch Alabama players in the first or second round. I'm just saying. Like Evan Neal, that tackle. I like the guy from NC State and Charles Cross or Trevor Pennington. Alabama players have shown that if you touch them in the first or second round, you are overdrafting because they get beat up in college and practice. And they usually are playing around a bunch of 5-star guys. So I'm definitely going to talk about edge rushers too next week. So I'm gonna get to the edge rushers. I'm gonna get to the running backs, and I'll get to the O-line or the guard specifically. And I'll talk about some tight ends too. But I literally talked about 4 interior D linemen that can help the Bucs immediately and also rotationally. So don't say no, Spence. Travis Jones is no. If you don't get him early second, or if you don't get him by the second round, you ain't getting him in the later rounds, bro. I don't know what you've been watching with Travis Jones, but you ain't getting him in the later rounds. You are not getting Travis Jones in the later rounds. What do you mean by later rounds? Third, fourth round? Are you out of your freaking mind? Travis Jones in the third round? Yeah. Yeah. I literally talked about him yesterday. You think, not yesterday, but the day before yesterday, you think you're finna get Travis Jones in the third, fourth round, later rounds? Okay. You tripping. You need to go back and watch some tape. Because you ain't getting him in no third, fourth round. If you don't get him late first, early second. Late second, you pushing it. You pushing it. You are pushing it. You think the Bucs finna get Travis Jones at 54? Stop playing, man. Trevor Pennington, if he's there at 27, look, probability versus possibility. You think Trevor Pennington's going to be there at 27? All right. Come on, you wish. Look, hey, man, you living in a parallel universe. If you think Trevor Pennington is going to be available at 27, if he's available at 27, of course you pick him. And you slide Donovan Smith to the guard. You can't travel. You can't draft. You can't pass on Trevor Pennington at 2027. Dude, nasty. I always say Donovan Smith would be a hell of a guard. But my bad. Okay, in the second round, what kind of world are you living in? Trevor Pennington available in the second round. What kind of world are you living in? You wish? You ain't getting Pennington in the second round. You tripping. He's not getting past the Chargers. He's not getting past the Saints. The Saints want Trevor Pennington or Charles Cross. Or that guy from Central Michigan. But you ain't getting Pennington in no second round. But you tripping, dog. Yes, exactly. We got to make 27 count. And I gave y'all 4 guys. Don't get mad at me. Wyatt, Jones, Hall, Winfrey. 3 out of 4 will be available at 27. And the 2 other guys I gave y'all, Carter and Leo, will be good rotational pieces in the later rounds. So next week I will go over the edge rushers that the Bucs can possibly get second round, third round. So we're gonna talk about edge rushers next week, and then we'll transition over to the running backs and the guards and possibly tight end. So tell me what you guys think about the 4 defensive linemen I talked about today. Who are your favorite in the last couple days? Who are your favorite if you had to rank them as far as impact for the Bucs right now? I got Logan Hall and Perrion Winfrey. Either one of those two right now. And Travis Jones. I like them all. You know what I'm saying? But Travis Jones, Perrion Winfrey, Logan Hall, Devontae Wyatt. Can't go wrong really with either one of those guys. And I think 3 out of 4 of those guys will be available. It'll be a dream if Devontae Wyatt is available at 27, which I highly doubt it. With that being said, I said next week I will talk about edge rushers. Mafe is an edge rusher. I know who Boy Foye Mafe is. Minnesota defensive end number 34. I know who he is. Next week, I will talk about pass rushers on the outside that can help the Bucs. I got it. I got it. I got to watch more tape. I'm watching tape, folks. You need to be watching tape too. Watch tape, folks. The conversation is a lot better. Anyway, tomorrow, be ready for the locker room. It'll be open tomorrow, and we'll do a recap for the week. And we'll talk about the defensive linemen, interior-wise. That will be the main topic of conversation in the locker room tomorrow. And then we'll talk about a bunch of other stuff. So thank y'all for joining a live stream of Buckles Locker with your host, Isaiah. Shouts out to all the Pirates and Sea Bandits. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for the super chats. More power buck. And somebody else gave me a super chat too, but forgot his name already. But was somebody else? No, it was more power buck. Yeah, but appreciate the super chat. With that being said, I'm about to call my daughter up, talk to her. I want y'all to fire those cannons, seize the day, raise the flag. Hashtag build the trenches. Hashtag what does your eyes tell you? Hashtag probability versus possibility. Those are the only 3 I'm giving y'all today. Buckle Locker is out. I'll see y'all tomorrow. In the locker room, be ready to talk. I'm out.